Okay, we'll begin with the invocation. We have Pastor Brant Lyon with 12 Oaks Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Galt, if you would lead that tonight. Everyone please stand.
Let us pray. Father God, we come before you tonight for a couple of reasons. Lord, first to thank you for the joys of living in our fair city. Father, we thank you for the blessings that you bestowed upon us. We thank you for the ways that you've prospered us in the past. Father, we pray that you would continue to bless and prosper us. But Father, we also come together tonight to invoke your presence upon this meeting. Lord, may your wisdom prevail. May you lead our leaders as they lead our city. Bless them tonight as they make wise decisions for us. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Lyon, for being here. We appreciate it. Are there any additions or deletions?
We have an addition of a award presentation to Senator Leeper from the Kentucky League of Cities.
Okay. We'll do that just after the swearing in of our police officers. So that's our first order of business tonight, and that's always a very exciting time and a great time for our community to have new police officers with us. So, Chief Barnhill.
It is. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, City Manager. It is one of those exciting times. It's one of the opportunities that we'd love to come to you and express all the good things we've got going on at the police department and who we are hiring to make sure that those things continue. If I can ask them to stand up here, if you'll come up right behind me on the left. I'm going to introduce you real quickly, and then Judge, if you don't mind, swear them in just shortly after that. Last Thursday, these three officers started with us, but obviously we like to do the swearing in front of you all and let you all recognize them. But I have with me tonight Matthew Jones. Matt is in the middle here. Matt is a native of Brookport. Actually went to Massac County High School. He is recently retired from the Army with an honorable discharge at the rank of E7. He is married, currently lives still, I guess, in Brookport or back in that area. Has 3 children. His area of expertise in the military, you'll find interesting, was intelligence analyst. So there are a lot of probably dirty, dark secrets that we would like to pry out of him that he's just not willing to expel yet. But one of these days, maybe we can get him cornered and get some of those out of him. Matt is hopefully. So Matt has a bachelor's degree, and he is currently working towards his master's degree. Secondly, I have with me Chelsea Brakefield. Chelsea is a native of Ohio. But she went to Kentucky Wesleyan College in Owensboro, receiving a bachelor's degree. She worked shortly for, looks about a year and 3 months or so at the Davies County Detention Center in Owensboro, and is obviously here to join us on our team. She's single, no children. One of her tidbits is she graduated in the top 10% of her class at Kentucky Wesleyan. And the only thing I will add to that is we are very happy to have her. She had some offers from some much larger agencies, so we feel like maybe it was a little bit of a steal for us, so we're pretty proud of that. And lastly, and probably certainly not the smallest guy in the room, you wouldn't miss him, but Lucas Stone, 29, here of a graduate of Reedland High School. He was a native of, he attended West Kentucky Community and Technical College, also worked there, was in the Air Force from 2006 to 2012 with a status of E5, is that correct? He is single, no children, and one little caveat to him, he is the nephew of Police Captain Ronnie Stone, which Captain Stone retired from our police department with 22 years of service. So, Judge, if you would come up and swear them in. They've got plenty of work to get to.
So Judge Craig Clymer joins us. Thank you for being here.
Be here.
I believe you've had a history in the police department at one time, didn't you?
I did. I was sworn in Paducah Police Department September 26th of 77. Just a few years. Why are you laughing about?
I remember that I was 17 years old.
Well, we appreciate you being here to join with us tonight.
Because of my background and
if you want to stand at the mic, that would help.
how do we want it?
Just turn around, and then these guys.
Are they
There you
where
go.
they need to be?
We're just speaking to the mic.
Okay. All right. And this oath of office, it's the constitutional oath of office that the police department has adopted to use to swear in new officers. And it contains, as the constitutional oath, a provision in it regarding fighting a duel. And so some people sort of snicker about that. We don't fight duels anymore, but in 1891, the Kentucky legislature adopted that provision in the swearing the oath for office. 1891. I was real small. I don't even remember it. But it does have a historical significance. Obviously, a entity would not want their police officers to have fought a duel for obvious reasons. So what I'll do, I will read this through and then at the end ask if you will so swear or affirm to do that. You'll say yes and we'll be done. Okay? Have each of you raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will endeavor to the best of your ability to detect and prosecute all gamblers and others violating the laws against gaming, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of police officer for the Paducah Police Department according to law, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office, and that you do further solemnly swear and or affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you being a citizen of this state have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state nor without it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help you God. Do you so solemnly swear or affirm? All right. Congratulations.
Welcome to the force.
Congratulations and welcome. Congratulations and welcome. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Chief Barnhill also wanted to congratulate the Paducah Police Department on their award last week at the Kentucky League of Cities Conference. I know we may celebrate that again when the Cartharps can be with us, but it was certainly very rewarding to have the state recognition for the Don't Be Intoxicated program. So
It is, and we got recognition from several of those cities that have joined us, or that were joining us there at the award ceremony. So I think that kind of spurred some of their interest, and maybe we can send the program to them.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here tonight. I know they're heading out the door, but thank you all. We really appreciate it and look forward to having them as part of our staff, and I hope we only see them under the best of conditions. Thank you. Thank you, Judge Clymer. Okay, we also have an addition to our program. We're happy to have Brianna Carroll with the Kentucky League of Cities. They had asked to be here tonight for a presentation on behalf of the Kentucky League of Cities. Brianna?
Hello, I am Brianna Carroll. I'm the Governmental Affairs Advocacy Manager for the Kentucky League of Cities. I just want to thank you for allowing me to take a few minutes of your time and to thank you for being a member of the League. Each year, our Board of Directors selects a few legislators to honor and recognize for their outstanding service. This year, we selected Senator Bob Leeper. He is well respected in the halls of Frankfort. He has chaired the one of the most powerful committees in the legislature. Our KLC, we monitor approximately 300 to 400 bills per session, and several of them have been sent to his committee. And whether he is for you, against you, or uninformed, he will always listen. We are sad to lose him in Frankfort, but we are proud to recognize him as a friend of cities.
Senator Leeper, would you like to say something?
Just won't take up much time because I know you all have other things to do and places to be and signs to put up. But I do appreciate you all giving us this time to present this award at home. This is where I began my public service. It was right here. We didn't have quite the nice digs you all have developed here, but we use this room, and it's kind of neat to come back here and get this award toward the end of my legislative career and present it on behalf of the cities because that's where I got my start. So thank you all. Thank all of you all for what you do for our community.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and appreciate you being here, Brianna, to come and give that to him here in Paducah. So thank you. Congratulations. Okay. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that the reading of the minutes for October 7th, 2014 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
Aye. We'll move into the motions. Commissioner Galt?
I move that the following documents be received and filed. Certificate of liability insurance for Danny Cope and Sons, Commissioner's deed for 2530-2540 Barnett Street, deed of conveyance for 1852 North 8th Street, contracts for services, Paducah Junior College, Inc., Barkley Regional Airport Authority, Paducah Transit Authority, contracts and agreements, waiver and consent between the city, county, and Wells Fargo National Bank, Association for Genova Products, Inc. at 5400 Commerce Drive, interlocal agreement for acceptance and administration of Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant Award, HVAC local jurisdiction agreement with Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Housing, Buildings, and Construction Division, amendment to agreement with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for Greenway Trail Phase 2, change order number 4 with Bluegrass Uniforms for uniform services for the fire department, service agreement for Motorola Solutions for fiscal year 2014-2015, contract with Plant Moran for enterprise resources planning consultant services for information technology agreement, for the Information Technology Department, grant agreement between the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and the Police Department for Heads Up, Don't Be Intoxicated educational campaign, $24,000. Termination of letter of agreement with the United States Enrichment Corporation for Offsite Emergency Response Services, Paducah Waterworks, financial highlights for August 2014, Electric Plant Board of the City of Paducah, Paducah Power Systems financial statements for fiscal year 2012 and 2013, Paducah Waterworks financial statements for fiscal year 2013 and 2014, Paducah McCracken County Joint Sewer Agency financial statements for fiscal year 2013 and 2014.
Second.
Okay. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
Aye. We'll move now into municipal orders. Commissioner Rhodes?
Okay, upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah, order that personnel changes on the attached list be approved.
Second.
Anyone have any questions? I see Steve's here in case you do. Okay. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
Aye. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that a municipal order entitled, a municipal order accepting the donation of real property located at 1036 Madison Street to the city and authorizes the mayor to execute a consideration certificate in the deed be adopted.
Second.
Any discussion?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This piece of property is a piece of property that we have a demo order on the house. The property owner, instead of us going through the foreclosure process, asked if they could just deed it over to us. There's no taxes or liens or anything against it, so that's what this piece of property is about.
So then will you go on with the demolition?
Yes, ma'am. It would just save us foreclosure cost.
Okay, great. Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
Aye. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving and Adopting the Comprehensive Health Insurance Benefit Plan Premiums for Calendar Year 2015, including premiums for optional dental and vision care for employees of the City of Paducah be adopted."
Second.
Steve, you have some
Good evening.
prescription.
We have 4 things on the agenda this evening. We'd like to present them all at once. There's 2 municipal orders and there's 2 ordinance introductions, but they're all related to a singular topic, and that's our health insurance renewals for plan year 2015, which will start January 1st. So, as Martin Russell in the HR department said, this is our Super Bowl this time of year where we set rates and do renewals. The work we're asking you to do this month is in anticipation of open enrollment for our employees, which will come in the second week of November for the plan year beginning. We've asked Greg Carlton, our consultant, to come this evening and discuss with you some of the financial findings of our plan, and that will be used and needed to support the recommendations we're making in the various documents. With that, is it over? Is this one?
It's minimized at the bottom. Minimize
This one? I didn't have my glasses on.
Always good.
We'll be as brief as we can on this, but there's a number of things in the financials that are critical to the decision-making here. This should take us about 10 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us back again. This meeting tonight and briefing is a response to hours and hours of time that your management team and our team put together over the course of a year. We meet each month for several hours, and we review financials and updates, and we make plan recommendations for the following year. So what I thought I would do is to take that information that's occurred during the year, roll this up into a short presentation to bring you up to speed on where we are. The good news is, for the 4th year in a row, we're not seeing dramatic need to change rates or allocations, and so we're going to see some very, very good information this evening in both a historical informational review as well as a prospective review. So the chart I'm showing you here is 2 parts. The chart at the top shows in red medical claims history back to 2001 to 2014 on a projected basis. In blue at the top there you see the prescription drug claims, and these are claims before we apply any type of reinsurance, so reimbursements from like an Anthem in this case. You notice there are 3 distinct periods where we've had some spikes along the way, 2003 and then around 2007 and then again in 2012. Otherwise, we've had a fairly normal history. We've not had to make a lot of plan changes along the way. The bottom chart shows an after effect of applying any reimbursements from reinsurance. And so, again, you see how that softened some of those 3 periods. It actually brought those numbers down as a reimbursement comes in. The far right side, you can see this year we're projecting another good year. It's slightly under where we were last year. 2012 was a challenging year, but the 3 years prior, as you can tell, were fairly stable. So when you look at that black line I've drawn on the second chart on the bottom, you see a nice downward trend overall. And again, for the last few years, we've not seen any substantial need to change the overall plan, to denigrate the plan like most employers have, or to raise rates at a double-digit rate. And that's a testament to wellness program, chronic disease management from the last year, and keeping our eye on the ball, and the employees doing the same, being good stewards. The financials as a bottom line, we're expecting any given year, and I've just taken this back to 2011, the bottom there, I really concentrate on the per member per month, because we'll see employees change, the number of employees covered, the number of members will change. One dynamic I see in this chart is at the top you see employees and members there, 258 in 2011, we're down to about 254 participating in 14 on average. The members, 517, has grown to 533. So we see a declining number of employees on the plan, but a growing number of members. That tells me that the Affordable Care Act probably has people making elections of bringing on their children and bringing on their spouses as things are tightening up around the city. At the very bottom, per member per month, we moved from a per member cost, it's about $324 per member per month, down to $262. So always look at per capita numbers. So again, moving in the right directions. We're seeing reductions along the way, net and a net cost basis. So it's all good news for what we're seeing. And graphically, this is what it would look like to graph that per employee per month number, or per member per month. So in red, 11, blue, 12, green, 13, and then the purple there, 14. So nice stabilization, nice reductions. It may not always be this way, but we want to take these opportunities to celebrate when we have good outcomes. In terms of chronic care, we introduced this concept to you last year because we were seeing an ever-growing population of chronic members with things like high triglycerides, high cholesterol, high hypertension, diabetes. And so we wanted to deal with that directly, so putting in concierge medical services with a nurse practitioner, helping people, sort of meeting them where they were in terms of their health, educating them and monitoring, and all in a very HIPAA-compliant way, complementary to their physician's care. So in this chart, we see a 5% annual compound growth in the risk itself. So we grade risk separately from cost, but we see a risk increase over time. And then at the bottom there in the blue, we're looking at the per member per month averages. So they're going to change over different months. But again, we're still seeing a slight tailing off of the per month per member costs, but an ever increasing risk about eligible members of chronic care. To that point, we had 143 eligible this past year when we started this program, and we're glad to say we've already had 33 members at the city start into that program successfully. We've got another fall campaign that starts now through the end of the year that basically is designed to help more members to get involved with chronic care management, learn about their disease, and help them with the nurse practitioner services. The VIN charts help you to see where they fall and not so much who they are, but whether participants have hypertension, hyperlipidemia, or diabetes. And some in the middle in the red there have all of those services. So we are tracking these constantly every month. We're looking at are people moving into the program, and what does that look like? Now, this is a little busy at first, but if you'll kind of focus from left to right, left is 2011, then 2012, 13, 14, and the blue and red again are plan paid, member paid numbers for members, basically all members. If you took everybody at the city level, and what you notice there is that over time, over those 4 years, you notice the numbers continue to get better. So that shows how the other earlier charts we looked at is things are getting better overall. However, if you set apart the members who have chronic illnesses, those dollars are growing and the numbers of people are growing. So even though things are getting better overall, we still need to have our attention on the members who are driving a fair amount of the risk and a fair amount of the cost. And that's what this program is designed to do, is to help us really see. And this really hones in on that. All plan members are costing the city about $2,630, that blue. The members, $903 average. If you take the folks who are not eligible, those that are not chronically ill, the average comes down to about $1,971 per year for the city's costs, $687. Look at the far right, though. Those that are enrolled in the care management plan, $6,382 on average cost. So that's the difference. That's what we're dealing with here. And when we start taking the difference there of about $4,000 the city costs per year, and it's well over 150 members, you can see that there's a lot of money at stake here in helping members get control of their disease and have better outcomes. The top numbers there are risk. So we grade risk in terms of 0 to 25, 25 being the high. Members that are not eligible for a program are averaging about a 9.59 rate risk, and the enrolled are 16.06. So again, just to help show you that we have the technology to really hone in on the individuals that need to be discussed and meet with nurse practitioners. We surveyed the members and asked them to give us the feedback. So on a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being the worst, 5 being the highest, things like my appointment was at a location convenient, was scheduled on time and convenient, my appointment was at a facility that's clean and well maintained, nurse practitioner is well informed, nurse practitioner spends enough time with me, etc. The program motivated me to make a change or to take an active role. All the scores were well into the 4, 4.5, 4.9
7.9 range. So very nice scores. If this were on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously you'd be seeing A's or nearly A pluses across the board. What is the impact of this program along with the other impact of the leveling out? Well, this year we're projecting a net decrease in overall plan costs of about 6.5% for the city. If things continue to go well, obviously we have another couple months, 2.5 months, so we may have a large claim crop up. We are following a couple of those, but even with those in mind, we think we'll still end the year about 6.5% below where we initially thought we'd be by this time. From an underwriting view, we do two things. We look at what do we think will happen. We call it expected for next year. And then the maximum is we buy an umbrella policy for the city through Anthem Blue Cross. And if things get out of hand, then that umbrella sort of covers us at the worst case scenario. The very bottom, after we do all the math of claims, how to pay those claims if we should stop the plan, pay for the administration of the plan, and actually buying the insurance, maintaining a reasonable escrow. You see at the very bottom, we expect to be around 7.9 or nearly 8% improved next year based on what we see in risk. From a worst case scenario, things get really tough. We may see as much as a 6.5 or 7% increase. So they basically balance each other out. For that purpose, we really are saying we want to concentrate on just maintaining right now. We don't want to take an extreme position either way. So we're using what I would call a midpoint calculation. We're saying we're not at one end of the spectrum or the other. Let's average those two. We need about a 1.49% decrease in overall escrow and cost. However, the Affordable Care Act has layered about $65 worth of taxes and fees that start in November, that were reported in November, start to be due and payable next year in the first quarter. So we're going to assume that we negate those fees with this need for the decrease and just call it a zero change. And that's what our recommendation is that we use the midpoint, account for the taxes and fees, and we recommend no change in allocation or rate. What does that mean? Well, from 2009 through 14, you can see there we've had relatively stable outcomes. The allocations have been $8,500 in 2009. We've ratcheted up by the CPI over time. It was $87.24, that money that the employees get to spend for their benefits. They could earn $1,900 in wellness credits. That's been a staple for the last 6 years. We've shown one example of the what we call investor plan. So that premium has grown very slightly over that same period of time. And as an example, using the rule of 72, we would nearly double that rate in most situations over that same period of time. So very small increase. Net is, if we take the city's allocation, we add the wellness credits in, we subtract out the premium, then on a net basis, the employees have started with about almost $1,500 in their pocket, went up to about $1,591, back to $1,252, $1,252 and $14. For 2015, our recommendation is we maintain the same allocation. Wellness credits this year will actually go up to $2,000 instead of $1,900. We've changed the wellness plan slightly, and we've incorporated that care management program with Edumedics into the wellness program. Investor plan premiums stay the same. That'll actually give employees an additional $100 into their HSA account. So again, you see the effective stabilizing forces that we've been able to use in the risk management process. Honestly, when we travel the state, we have over 165 public employers that we work with, and you're definitely in the top 2% of all employers in the Commonwealth that's seen stabilized rates like this. So we want to continue that. So other programs, we have no changes anticipated in either benefits or rates in the dental program. Vision program, we're recommending to move to Anthem. We were able to improve the network of vision providers and the rates by a large margin. HRAs, these health reimbursement arrangements, the Health and Human Services have changed some rules around those, so we'll need to be integrated with group coverage in order to give those HRAs this next year. We'll need to make that change. That's a federal ruling. Wellness, again, our team at WellScore is already planned a program out, already has management's approval on that. And then Edumedics, the care management program. This starts the second of a 3-year program. So again, recommending we're holding existing rates and allocations. We have an increase in the wellness fee or the wellness credit, so a net improvement to employees. Make sure we implement our year 2 for our care management. We're streamlining wellness again, making sure to just kind of rough down some edges there. We're in the year two. We're looking at the plans. We're not making any substantial changes, but we're just trying to make sure they conform to any guidelines that have to be changed for 2015. And then implement, again, an overall communication plan. We've been communicating all year long in 14 to help members stay prepared for the 15 years. So that's our recommendation. I believe it is a extremely good news for the city of Paducah again.
Thank you, Greg. Steve, do you all have any questions?
Well, I don't have any questions, but again, the driving force behind those numbers are our people. They're getting the message on wellness, and it reflects in those numbers. So there are some things out there that you mentioned that we may not be able to control, but when we control what we can control, then it makes that transition, whatever that is, a lot less easier to swallow.
Absolutely.
So appreciate you guys' work on it, and just appreciate our employees' assertiveness and effort to move to a better sense of wellness.
Your Limestone. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Top 2%. Pretty amazing.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Aye. Commissioner Rhodes?
Okay. I move that municipal order entitled Municipal Order Establishing a Policy for the Use of Spending Credits toward the Purchase of Certain Benefits such as health, dental, or vision pursuant to the city's group health insurance plan for the 2015 plan year be adopted.
Second.
Steve?
This is
Continue on.
an implementation of what he said. It keeps our rates the same, our allocation to our employees the same, increases our wellness maximum $100, and changes our vision plan to Anthem, which gives us a bigger network, and I believe the rate reduction was 11%. So we think our employees will be happy with that.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Aye. Okay, we'll move into ordinance for adoption. Commissioner Abraham, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance fixing the levies and rates of taxation on all property in the city of Paducah, Kentucky, subject to taxation for municipal purposes and for school purposes for the period from July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015, with the purposes of said tax hereunder defined. On the right, on the left is the purpose, on the right is the rate per $100. General fund of the city, real property, 0.225, personal property, 0.390, motor vehicle watercraft, 0.390, school purposes, Paducah Junior College, 0.017, real estate, 0.017, personal property, real estate, 0.017, personal property, 0.017, motor vehicle and watercraft, 0.031. The city of Paducah shall collect the following taxes for the Board of Education, Paducah Independent School District. Real property, 0.771, personal property, 0.771, inventory, 0.771. Total tax rate per $100 real property, 1.043. Total tax rate per 100 personal property, 1.178. Total tax rate per 100 inventory, 0.771. Total tax per 100 motor vehicle watercraft, 0.421. Property taxes levied herein shall be due and payable in the following manner. In the case of tax bills which reflect an amount due of less than $550, the payment shall be due on November 1st, 2014, and shall be payable without penalty and interest until November 30th, 2014. In the case of all other tax bills, payments shall be in accordance with the following provisions. The first half payment shall be due on November 1st, 2014, and shall be payable without penalty and interest until November 30th, 2014. The second half payment shall be due on February 1st, 2015, and shall be payable without penalty and interest until February 28th, 2015.
Second.
Okay. We reviewed this last week. Any other questions? Okay, City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
That's all right. Aye. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of up to $10,500,000 Industrial Building Revenue Bond Series 2014 Paducah Convention Hotel LLC project of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, the proceeds of which shall be used to pay the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of an industrial building suitable for use as a hotel, together with all related and subordinate facilities necessary to the operation thereof, to be located within the City of Paducah, Kentucky, and leased to Paducah Convention Hotel LLC, providing for the pledge of revenues for the payment of such bonds, authorizing a lease agreement appropriate for the protection and disposition of such revenues, and to further secure such bonds, authorizing a bond purchase agreement, mortgage, payment in lieu of taxes agreement, and assignments, and authorizing other actions in connection with the issuance of such bonds. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The ordinance authorizes the issuance of Industrial Building Revenue Bonds Series 2014 Paducah Convention Hotel LLC project in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10,500,000 to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of a building suitable for use as a hotel to be located within the City of Paducah, Kentucky, and to be leased to Paducah Convention Hotel LLC, the leasee, a Kentucky limited liability company pursuant to an agreement of lease, the agreement. The bonds are being issued under Chapter 103 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes and are to be retired directly or indirectly from the lease payments to be made by the leasee pursuant to the agreement. This ordinance also authorizes the execution on behalf of the city of the various financing documents involved in the transaction, including the agreement, the bond purchase agreement, a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, assignments, a mortgage, and assignments in substantially the form submitted to the Board of Commissioners. A copy of the ordinance and of the form of the basic documents for such transaction will be on file in the office of the city clerk. The bonds are to be retired from the lease payments to be made by the leasee pursuant to their agreement and pursuant to sections 103.200 to 103.285 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. The bonds do not constitute an indebtedness of the City of Paducah, Kentucky within the meaning of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Second.
It's been a couple of weeks since that was introduced.
Yes, it has. Since we originally introduced that ordinance, I and the applicants have been to state government where industrial bonds have approved. That was roughly a 60-day process for the state local debt officer to approve the issuance of the bonds. The operative sentence and everything that Commissioner Galt read was the $10.5 million obligation is not that of the city, it's that of the borrower. In this case, the borrower will be Paducah Convention Hotel LLC, and the single purchaser, this will not be a publicly sold bond, this is a private instrument, and it'll be purchased solely by Independence Bank. So this is, for all intents and purposes, the bank loan for the property. And there are a bunch of closing documents attached to this that the bank attorneys, the developer attorneys, and the bond attorney has produced for this ordinance.
And I think last week it might have been a little bit of confusing, and there was a correction made. The loan has been approved for this. It's actually waiting to be signed.
Yeah, a couple times it has been reported that that the loan is pending approval. That is not the case. The loan has been approved. What has not occurred is closing on the loan, and that is projected, and we had our conference call yesterday with the attorneys and the bankers, and they have that scheduled for November 3rd. So it will not occur before that date, and they're pressing real hard to make that date. There's an enormous pile of documents to go through, but it is quickly making progress.
Thank you. You guys have any questions? Anyone? Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Aye. Commissioner Rhodes, please.
Okay, I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance approving the sale of municipally owned real property located 717 Harrison Street, Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the City of Paducah hereby approves the sale of real property located at 717 Harrison Street to Catherine Knott for the consideration of $182,965 plus accrued interest as determined on the day of closing. Further, the mayor authorizes to execute a deed of conveyance and other documentation necessary to effectuate the transfer of the property.
Second.
Thank you, Steve.
Good evening. We've finished construction. The closing has not been set, but I anticipate within the next 3 to 4 weeks. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
It's a very lovely house.
Yes.
Really looks
And
nice.
she's very excited about getting into it.
Yes, I met her the other night. Very nice.
Great
Okay.
job.
Thank you.
Good leveraging.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You don't vote on that tonight. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that.
Insurance.
Gotcha. I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance accepting the rates for the stop loss insurance coverage with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for the group health insurance plan for the city of Paducah, Kentucky for the 2015 calendar year and authorizes the mayor to execute a contract for same. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the city of Paducah accepts the rates offered through Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for stop loss insurance coverage for the group health insurance plan for the city of Paducah, Kentucky, effective January 1st, 2015. The stop loss rates are as follows: individual stop loss, $175,000 maximum city liability per person, with a monthly cost of $92.98 per member, and an aggregate stop loss $2,029,679 maximum city liability of total claims combined with a monthly cost of $6.29 per member. Further, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for the stop loss coverage.
Second.
Steve?
While our employees and their families carry a card that says Anthem in it, we are a partially self-funded plan, so up to $175,000 per member. Those claims are paid by us. The stop loss means if a specific claim should exceed that for a person, that's where the backstop comes in with Anthem, and then we have an aggregate number that if our claims go above the 2 million and some change number you saw, that's when the Anthem coverage kicks in. So we're protected to a certain level. That number is, the aggregate number is down about $500,000 from last year and down $1 million over the past 3 years, which is attributable to the overall reduction in claims that are in our group. So that's where the good management of the claims has come from. And so the next ordinance, the administrative, Anthem takes our claims as people show their cards at the doctor, and they apply the discounts to that and send out the explanation of benefits and tell us pay the claims, and then we reimburse Anthem. So they do our third-party administration for us.
Any questions? Okay, you might as well stay. Commissioner Galt?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Paducah and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute an agreement between the City of Paducah and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield as the city's third-party administrator to provide claims administrative services related to the city's health insurance plan. The effective date of this agreement is January 1st, 2015, and ending December 31st, 2015.
Second.
Okay. I guess you have anything else on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate you being here. City Manager, do you have any comments?
I just want to say before we release Mr. Doolittle to go see the second half of his daughter's playoff soccer game, I want to recognize the role that he's played in overseeing the work of the HR department during the interim and keeping the ship sailing forward and encouraging Missy and Martin on in the work that they do. Steve is extremely talented. This is at least the third interim department directorship he's had since I've been here, so I'm very appreciative, as I'm sure you all are, to have a man of his capabilities on our staff.
Thank you, Steve.
Good job, sir.
Go see your
luck.
daughter. You have anything else?
I have one other thing. Greg Cherry and April are both here from Fire Prevention and want to share with you a little news about a initiative that they started a few years ago and what they have going this year for it.
Good evening again. While Pam's getting this set up, this will be the third year we're doing our code class and fire class. The whole goal of this program was to try to get consistency, uniform code enforcement around our part of the state. This year, we'll have just about every electrical inspector that works for the state of Kentucky, for our state electrical inspectors, will be attending the class, along with a lot of local inspectors. Building class will have the same local building inspectors and state. They'll all be sitting in the same class. They'll all be hearing the same information. So, the people that are teaching this class are some of the people that writes the building and electrical codes. It's another way we want to try to improve customer service, and something that's not on the PowerPoint that the city manager's direction that we've added is we'll have a information booth there with representatives from planning, engineering, finance, and of course our office, that we can answer any questions that anybody has about if they want to do work inside the city of Paducah. So we hope we're doing our best trying to get the information out to these people, and hopefully we'll have another good turnout. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, this will be our third year for the conference. It's a one-day conference, and it's October 24th this year at the Julian Carroll Convention Center. It'll be all day long, 8 to 5. We will have door prizes and vendor booths again this year. As of this afternoon, I had 160 registered to be in attendance. Last year, we did have 210 that came through our doors that were either in a class or came by for lunch and offered support or had a vendor booth. It was a big success last year. All this is offered free for the participants, and some of them earn their continuing education hours for their field of expertise. And that is paid for by sponsors. We have obtained 27 sponsors today, and this is a list of those we have commitments from so far. Lunch is provided, and snacks, break time is provided, and during those times, that's when the attendees will be able to visit our vendors, and they will have products that they sell and the contractors use, new things on the horizon for them. The 3 classes this year for the electrical class will be on the source grounding and bonding. That's an issue that our electrical inspectors come across a lot in the recent past with the new, since the ice storm, a lot of residential generators have been installed, and so a lot of questions about grounding and bonding to those come in, so we wanted to cover that in depth for them. The building class will be on the Chapter 1 of the Kentucky Building Code 2013, and a portion on deck construction. That will be taught by George Mann. There's a lot of laws change on constructing a deck in the residential, so we wanted to cover that with our local contractors. And then the Chapter 1 is the chapter in the building code that covers why you get permits, where building codes derive from, And we had a request actually from a local contractor to cover that, so we chose that topic. And then the fire suppression class is clandestine laboratory identification and awareness, although commonly known as meth labs or any kind of drug labs that we've been coming across in the fire service. They are very dangerous. So we want to make that more aware to our firefighters and also our code enforcement officers that come across those just by doing routine inspections or going in to do asbestos testing. They come across these dangerous things and do not know what's ahead of them. So we're taking registrations until Monday, and for more information, it is on our website, and the registration form is there as well. Or you can call Greg Cherry or myself at our phone number there, 444-8527. Thank you for your time.
So have you had, last year we had what? How many did you say participants?
Last year in the classes was about 180, but we had about 210 in participation with vendors and attendees and folks that we invited to come in and take a look around.
And I remember when we, kind of restructured that department down there, one of the things that Chief Kyle talked about was making sure everybody knew exactly what they needed to do when doing business in the city, building in the city. A lot more customer friendly, if you will, getting information out. Have you seen that increase as far as folks coming in and building in the city? Have you seen any results? I mean, those are measurable results, I would think.
We think we've seen, an increase. In talking to a lot of our local contractors, I've been going out on job sites, talking to contractors, asking how everything's going, and, it's a lot more positive comments than we were hearing in the past. And as far as, we're seeing a lot of plans and permits coming into the city right now for some new construction renovation.
That's the point. Good job.
Thank you. I'm assuming we're all invited to stop by sometime next Friday.
We'd love to see y'all
We
come
are
by.
having a barbecue lunch, and our caterer this year is Walker.
Walker Hall. Okay.
John Perkins highly recommends the lunch.
Thank you all. We appreciate everything you do. I think we have a pretty big event next Wednesday. You want to talk about it?
We do. At 2 o'clock at the Ohio River Boat Launch, we have the joint ribbon cutting grand opening for both the boat launch as well as the latest segment of the bike trail that contains the crossing of the highway and the I'm not sure what the last term we applied to that was, but it's a tunnel is what most people would refer to it as. So I can't tell you tonight exactly what state that will be in, but we will be ready for a lot of people to come out and participate in that, and there will be a trolley that will move people between the two locations. Pam, do you have anything to add to that I might have missed? Okay, we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll have good weather.
I walked by and heard them talking about on a newscast about the cost, I guess, of the replacement of some of the concrete at the underpass. I think that has delayed the underpass being completed because some of it had to be replaced.
Yeah, there were structural inadequacies with a portion of the first pour there, which were entirely the responsibility of the contractor.
That was the question being asked, well, who's paying for that? So it was the contractor having with the replace all of that, and where do we stand on it?
Well, you mean as far as responsibility?
No, as it being completed.
I don't have a up-to-date report on exactly where that's at.
Okay. Hopefully by next week, closer.
Well, I can more than hope. We're trying very hard to make that happen.
Sure, the rain
We'll be as close as we can. But yeah, the weather may have negatively impacted that. But
So the public's invited, 2 o'clock next
2 o'clock.
Wednesday. Love to have everyone there a week from tomorrow. Anything else?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any of you all have anything?
Think so?
We do have one public comment by Gary Vanderboe. If I could read what your subject was, I would state it, but your penmanship is a little lacking, Gary. And you know that we do generally have a time limit of about 5 minutes.
That's about 2 more than I usually get, so that's not going to be any problem.
Time you?
First of all, you're doing great tonight and filling in for Mayor Kaler. Just wanted to bring you a couple things. One of them that was on the agenda last time I was up here, Gary Vanderbilt, Commonwealth Environmental Services. I always try to introduce myself to the people that don't know about our company, but we're an EEOICPA nuclear worker advocate company across the nation. We represent approximately 350 claimants as their authorized representative, people that can't follow the process, and we've made a couple presentations in the past. But before I get into that, I wanted to offer my assistance to maybe a couple commissioners, and I first come to think of Commissioner Abraham and Mr. Rhodes, and anybody, any couple. But I know if you have more than two, you got a quorum, so you have to, I guess, hold a meeting. But maybe perhaps the city manager could join us. Our family, as you all probably heard me say before, owns the Three Rivers Quarry in Livingston County. And so you all are struggling with some cost overruns on some of the limestone you put on the riverfront. The riverfront, I think Rick calls it a bump out.
It's a park.
I know Rick doesn't call it that.
He calls it things that I've never heard of. But
it's a park extending
most
out
of it's
into the river to allow our
a
families
berm.
to enjoy the river. No, it is a park.
Well, and I agree with you. I think it's really going to be a great thing once you get it up above the backwater. But understand you've got several more tons of limestone, and there's some things happening since your last contract that we would like to share in confidence with the city manager and two commissioners. And then we will let you all make a determination if that can benefit you. But it's basically some cost reductions that you all may enjoy and take benefit of. Because we're all here and we all belong in this community. We really don't want to see Paducah gouged by any contractors. And so that's kind of what I do. I kind of police and do the quality control checking of bid proposals. And so we'd like to sit down with you and kind of, at least two of you, and at least let you hear what's going on.
Are Commissioner Galt and I not invited?
Oh, all of you can. I mean, I'll make this presentation in front of the whole board. It doesn't really matter. But we didn't, there may be some things that are sensitive that you all would like to hear that could be beneficial. And if it's cost savings, I think that's great for everybody in Paducah to hear. And since we've been a company in Paducah for going on 7 years now, we're enjoying, the hospitality of the city of Paducah. Occasionally we have opportunities to invite you all. As coming up, there's a nuclear worker national meeting October 21st and October 22nd. And we hope to have the senatorial candidates here in Paducah for that, for instance. And we're bringing in advocates from all around to get to the bottom of why claims have been turned down repeatedly when they met the criteria. Now, that kind of leads me into the real discussion I had planned on tonight. And I've got one copy of my email that I sent out to all of you hurriedly before I left the office at 5:10, but I just thought, man, I need to come down and let you all know about the good things we're doing. One of the things leading into that, and I'm going to try to keep it at 5 minutes. One of the things that leading into that, as you all maybe recall, most of you probably don't because I think Ms. Galt is the only one on the board that I recall. But I had a young man step up here when I had arm surgery, and Richard, you probably remember it.
I do.
And that young man talked about his claim and how successful he was after we got involved. Well, that young man, last December, he sent an email to me and said, I asked him how he was doing. He said, fine. He had a growth on the lung, on his brain show up. And so, I cringed because I never know whenever one of my friends, and you all have him right here on one of your videos, he stood here, great guy, worked at the plant while I was there in 92, started in 92, and he was exposed in some of the most toxic ditches, and they turned his claim down for 6 years, and we won his claim. We overturned it, and it was a success, but he passed away last March. Rapid regrowth of his cancer. Now, I bring that up because we've not only identified some of my friends it's just appalling. And I met with the mayor a long time ago, and I told her I was seeing some things that are disturbing because as an advocate, I get to see all the medical. I get to see 350 claims of the illnesses. And the city manager has been involved. We talked to Dave Denton, and he and I discussed these things. But I think all of you need to be aware that when you have Buzz Smith sitting here, and now Buzz works for the same guy that is covering up and concealing the sick worker violations.
Gary, I don't think you should be getting personal to anyone.
Well, no.
And you're
Now,
really talking
hold
about
on.
federal issues. So.
Yeah, well, hold on a minute. I'm not concealing, I'm not pointing a finger at Buzz. I'm just saying he's working for the DOE that's aware of this. Remember, you get benefit from DOE, so I think it's appropriate. But when you're aware that these workers are being exposed to, such as the workers at Honeywell, we've exposed that they were processing DOE drums, which is a RCRA violation and a violation of the EOICPA. Now, I'm just giving that to you. You can agree with me. You can look at your emails. You can read them. And Sandra, you should know very well, back in the old days, the Chamber of Commerce invited all the nuclear workers into the homes of everyone. But not one of them was scanned. Not one of them was deconned. And so we actually had a release of contaminated material, which back then, you probably have seen the articles, there was a housing shortage. But we've got to look at where we're exposing people now. So the abuse of employment, we just recently had an employee that's on his deathbed, and they basically interviewed this employee and fabricated his employment right with a contractor that I was working with. Now, I won't name names, not going to. Now what
Give me
really
that
disturbs
30
me.
seconds.
30 seconds. Well, we better get that one out here, because I'm the 2014 recipient of the Kentucky Justice Association Consumer Safety Award. Thank you very much. You don't have to stand up or applause. There's the web link to it. Richard, you can look at it, and I may come back and ask you what you thought of it. But basically, it's what I said of all these people that I'm name dropping. And I got 175 people watch me accept the award and then stumble off the stage as the stage step fell out from under me. So I know that sounds comical, but it was pretty painful. I have 4 broken ribs. Now, on Sunday's paper, editorial, you saw an ad where Mitch McConnell is helping the nuclear workers, and that was an editorial by the Paducah Sun.
We're just not going there.
No. Well, I know you're not, but I'm
your
going to
time's
tell you
not up.
that was out of line,
Your time is up, Gary. We're not going into
I just
that.
wanted you to hear that. Well, I don't know why. But Richard, you want to hear that?
I'm reading this.
Gary,
And that's on the email.
we're at 9 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. And that's all I've got. I just want you got that email, so you'll see that editorial is inappropriate. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything
Any questions
else?
by anybody?
You all have anything else?
Richard?
I don't have any
Okay.
questions. I'm going to
Yeah, look at that. We'll be glad to talk to you later. Thank you.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned.